valuable topic to to be focused on.
Alrighty. So, um, Kevin, just for Jen and Lisa's sake, can you uh, can you tell us what give us a run through of your teaching experience and where you're at now? A little background, please.
Okay. I'm currently teaching at a private high school in Osaka, Japan. I kind of manage a international course, and my school is a little strange. The students get to take 20 hours of English every week, and most of them most of them choose to take 20 hours of English a week. So the whole issue of motivation or wanting to study English, it doesn't really impact my daily class situation. But it wasn't always like that. I've been working at this school for 10 years, and at the beginning, there were a lot of students who didn't want to take 20 hours of English a week, who didn't want to take 10 hours of English a week, but they did want to speak English because they thought it was cool. And then when they started taking English classes, they they realized they wanted to speak English, but they didn't want to study English, and they didn't really want to learn English. But that changed over the course of the program, over kind of a slow 10-year period. Um, and
Sorry, let me interrupt
I
you there just for a
kind of
second.
took this job. I had okay.
Yeah, just to unpack that just a little bit, um, when they enter this course, is English the primary goal? I'm trying to fit how does 40 or 20 hours fit into the whole curriculum?
Okay, that's a really important question. So they have 20 hours of English class time, and they have the required kind of Ministry of Education classes that they have to take. But some of them they take through computer learning. So they do it at night or during the weekend or during spring vacation time. That's why they can have this huge chunk of time every week. And the goal is for them be to be comfortable using English to meet their other goals. So most of them, the end goal is not just to speak English. Like most of them at this point would like to be English teachers, or they want to get a job working abroad, and they know that, and they want to be able to do that as soon as they finish university. And they feel that taking this type of intensive course is the best way for them to meet that
Okay,
goal. But when they come,
so give us a little, a couple of what kind of level do they come in at, and what kind of levels do they go out at in any kinds of scores or any kinds of assessments that you guys use?
oh, okay. Well, when they actually the school is a very particular school. It has interesting students. Many of them didn't go to junior high school for extended periods of time, for a year or 2 years. Perhaps they were bullied, or they had family issues and it was difficult for them to make it to school. So many of them have gaps in their
Okay,
education of longer than 3 months. So when they come in, most of them have less than a junior high school level English education in Japan. So almost true beginners, like reading a 12-word sentence with anything but the simplest vocabulary will be difficult for maybe 60 or 70% of my students. That's their level when they come in. Um, their level when they come out is they're the ones who their average TOEIC score is 640
Wow.
points. Their ACAN, almost all of them, 90% of them pass ACAN 2, and many of them take IELTS and get 6.0.
Wow. 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 That's wonderful.
And they love English. Like at the end, they don't love learn English. They love learning English. They love how to learn English, and they can use that skill to learn English on their own. That's what we try and teach them. That's the most important thing.
Okay. You, I'm going to call you Mr. Segway if you do that again. How,
Okay.
in a couple of broad strokes or key words or key points, how do your students learn English?
The first thing they learn about learning English is that it doesn't have to be painful. It's hard and it will take time, but it doesn't have to be painful. So we give them and help them select texts which are appropriate. So we do a lot of reading in class, extensive reading, but we can just call it reading. They read a lot of books, and the first thing we do with them is we show them how to pick a book, make sure that there's not too many words on the page that they don't understand. So if there's more than 5 words they don't know out of 100, and actually that's crazy, right? They don't read 100 words at a time. They can't do it. So we sit down with them and they read a sentence and we ask them, do you understand it? Is there a word you don't know? They read another page. Maybe they read 3 pages and I say, do you like the book? Is it interesting? What do you think about the story? And if I think they don't understand or they're not enjoying it, I just say, well, you can get another book. I mean, that's the first step is helping them understand how to pick things that are right for them, that they can understand and learn from. Because a lot of students think they have to read things which read material which is difficult and painful. So
Okay.
that's that's it's not it's kind of magic. It's magic because the students are happy. Yeah. That's the most basic step. And then I also spend a lot of time with students helping them uh, infer or understand the meaning of words by words they don't know. Because by words they do know. A lot of students will read a sentence and they'll be focused on the one word they don't know. And they just keep thinking about that one word in the sentence. And, so I have them cover up the word with their fingers. Or if it's on paper, on a printed sheet, I have them cross out the word. And then we really look at the sentence. For example, maybe the sentence says, uh, tea is a popular drink in England. English people consume 6 cups of tea a day. Of course, no students know the word consume. That's a very difficult word. But if you cross out the word consume on the paper and they read the sentence and you ask them, what do you think this word means? The students can say, in their first language, they can say, drink? Yeah, that's what it means. So if you do the process over and over with students, they
Mm-hmm.
can start to do it by
Okay.
themselves.
So, I want to,
So helping students learn to,
yeah, what you're saying there is you're starting with reading as a basic intro into the English world. You're spending a lot of time showing them how to learn, and it sounds like you're putting a key focus on the meaning, not the grammar, not the vocabulary, but extracting the
Mm.
meaning using whatever else you know, whatever strategies you might be able to muster, and that by doing it over and over again, they're picking up this
Mm.
skill.
Yeah, at the most, for the lowest level students, this is the skill we
Yep.
focus on most of the time in class. And we hope that they use that skill out of class when they do reading or even listening work. I mean, one of the things I think might be a little different is I never have students do just listening without a script, without the written text available. Um, I really want them to be able to, of course, practice their develop their listening skills, their decoding skills. But if they find something they can't hear and they don't know why they can't hear it, maybe they can't catch the syllables, they can't decode the actual letters, or maybe they don't know what the word is, or maybe they misheard two other words in the sentence. If this happens to a student and they can't see the written text, it's very hard for the student to know why they couldn't hear something. So, along with listening practice with the lowest level students, we always let them have the text as well. But I don't know if that's the right way to do it. That's just what I find works
Yeah,
for
so
my
I've been
students.
doing that with my lower level students as well.
Oh, I'm so sorry. My daughter just came in to
Hi.
say hi to me.
Mhm.
Mm, mm. Oh, oh. But I'll be done in like 30 minutes and then we can. But if you want to stay in here, you can stay in there. Oh, hold on there.
That was a
Sorry
commercial
for the
break.
interruption. Yeah, sorry about that. So you have your students work with text and they can read the
Yes,
material that they're
absolutely.
listening
I
to
said
as
I
well.
always say there's an easy way to do it, there's a medium way, and a difficult way. And that each student has to find where their own entry level is. Now, it's based on their previous ability or their current level as well as their learning style, I believe. Some people, few people, get off on
Mm,
listening to it with no script over and over again and kind of scaffolding pieces together. But that's very, very few. Now, the other ones, I'll say, look at the tape script first and then read through just the tape script to get an idea. And then listen to it while you're looking at the tape script. And then do it
mm.
again if you want to. And then move the tape script
Yeah.
away and listen to it. So it's just, I've given them lots of different approaches to doing it, from what's the easiest way to do this and then working towards what's the most difficult way. And they have a huge sense of accomplishment when they can understand it after going through it maybe 3, 4, or 5 times.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the key is you don't put the student into a box and say you have to do it like this. You know, you, of course, you can try and listen to the transcript. You can enjoy the intonation, the difference between the structure of English and your first language. You can try and catch as much as you can. Or, yeah, you can just read the script, the transcript first, and then see how much you can catch after you know what the content is. And when the students take the next step, whatever that next step is for the student,
Yes.
that's where the accomplishment comes from. When, when they can succeed and succeed continuously for a certain period of time and then do something new or more difficult. Because, sorry, I'm talking a lot, but I'm kind of excited. I really feel like one of the most difficult things for English learners is that it's hard for them to see their own accomplishments. Acquiring a language is this long, long, slow process. So when they can do something different than they were doing before, and they can do it more smoothly and easier than the thing they did before, that is when they can clearly see their process. And that is when they get excited to keep
Mm.
studying.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And to uh, recap what you're saying, you're teaching an awful lot of learner autonomy in this process. That you're showing them how to take more development steps, and then probably you're enabling them to reflect on their own growth while it's happening.
Yes, and actually the oh, sorry about that. The the metacognitive ability, the kind of to be able to think about how you learn English, to have just a little bit of space to think about, is this useful for me? Was this successful for me? Should I do it the same way next time? Should I try something a little different next time? Um, I think that's so crucial to helping our students acquire language, to become good, become competent language users.
Yeah. So I meant to ask you this about 10 or 15 minutes ago, but I got excited listening as well and I forgot. But can you give us an outline of how many students are you dealing with in a class or in different classes? And it sounds like you're spending some one-on-one time with students. How much and how does that fit into your approach to teaching?
I have about 15 to 20 students in one class for the international course for the students who are taking 20 hours a week. Um, and I do kind of detailed assignments with students that they kind of get a set of activities they can do with a text or with a listening text or written text or around writing. Um, they have to, they get to kind of negotiate with me, but in the class, I will usually pick up a few items that some of the students are having issues with and work with it fronted as an entire class. And that's usually about 25 or 30 minutes of my class time. And then 20 minutes of the class time is independent study, continuing the task. And I will go around with the students and happily they'll talk to me. And if they have issues, they will ask me. for my help, and they'll show me what they're doing, and they're very honest. So there's a lot of one-on-one interactions happening in the class. But I can't teach everyone in a class of 20 students that way. So oftentimes, if a student asks me a question and I know someone else is struggling with the same thing, but there's a third student who is quite good at it. For example, I had two students who really wanted to and had troubles with their discourse markers, their connecting words. However, in spite of, and so I kind of looked at the sentences on their paper and I said, okay, the two of you are really working hard on this issue. And actually, Shiori over there is very good at it. And she just got it. She just got how to do it. So, you know, she looks a little busy, but why don't you take your paper over and ask her how she ended up being able to use discourse markers correctly. And they go over and they ask
I
her.
do the exact same thing when I go up
Yeah.
and explain something, the meaning of a word or the usage of something in a sentence, and then I walk away and the next person asks me, I look at them and I say, go ask Maki. I just told her, Maki, help her please. And Maki smiles and says, okay.
Yeah.
You know, and that's when I do that a few times, everybody gets it that if I spend, you know, a minute or more at your desk, crouched down next to you, helping you understand something, you better be ready to help somebody else. It's the circle of life.
That's it. That's so, yeah, exactly. You know, and I think that when students call me over and they know like probably I'm going to be sending to student to them next, you know, um, I think they really enjoy that. They've learned that teaching another student something helps cement it for them and helps them to become master
Yeah.
that kind of thing they're working on. So
Mm.
they know it's a
Um,
win-win
I
situation.
um, I was going to call you Mr. Segway again because you mentioned writing
Yeah.
just a couple of minutes ago, and I know that you are a very good writer yourself, and that you like writing, and I share that love of writing. And for me, I think the writing classes are the easiest, largest opportunity to get to know students. So I want to switch over and talk a little bit about where um, I've heard from you that reading is a base, that kind of learner autonomy, teaching people how to learn through listening. But now, what are some of your big stroke approaches to teaching writing, or the tenets under which you approach teaching writing?
Um, I, I gotta give credit where credit is due on this. Anna Losova used to have her students write in her class, and she's the iTDI blog
Curator.
superstar guru editor, and she puts that together. Yeah, thank you. The word didn't come to me. She's the curator of the iTDI blog, and she wrote a great blog post, and we were chatting about writing as well. And she wrote notes to her students in on their written work, and she rarely commented on their grammar. She just focused on the content, and they would write back to her. And she ended up having these written conversations. And I honestly, I thought, does this work? Does this really work? And does this lead to better writing? Will it lead to better writing? So I cut down on the amount of corrections I gave to students, but I still gave them corrections. I mean, I really feel that when a student is trying to master something and you know what they want to do, if a student wants to use more academic language and they're focused on that and they're writing papers with that in mind, then I have to give them feedback about that. Oh, maybe this word would work better. Maybe focus on your prepositions with your verbs. They're a little off. Maybe underline some prepositions. But really, writing a lot of comments about showing my interest in what the students is writing. This is a really interesting and unique idea. Why do you feel that ambulances in Japan should cost money?
Right.
Because in Japan they're free, right? So why do you feel that they should cost money for younger people but not for older people if they have that idea and it's not kind of fleshed out, expanded? Because I'm so curious about your reasons and just showing actual curiosity and interest in what the student has to say. And then saying, I don't say write another draft. I stopped saying that too. I said, I really want to hear these ideas expanded. Can you write me another version?
Mm.
Will you write me another version?
Sure.
Because I'm so
Yep.
curious. And then they will.
Mm.
So
Um, do students read each other's work?
yes, yes, absolutely. And my school has a blog. So about once a month, I just say to three or four students, you know, these essays were really rich and deep. This idea was great. This idea, I was really surprised. I'd never thought about this idea before. I'm gonna give them to the PR staff, and the PR staff can only use one, and they'll put it up on the blog. So I don't know which one they'll use. It might be the one with the cleanest handwriting, or it might be the one that's easiest to read. But I thought all of them were fantastic. So that's one of the ways I give the students an audience. And I also do have the students do uh, walks, so reading walks. Students put their papers on desks around the room or on the walls around the room, and they have time. They just can stroll around the room and read each other's work.
Right. Mm. Okay. Well, we've talked a little bit about writing and um, listening and reading as well. Let's finish up on your thoughts about speaking. Certainly, I guess speaking might cause more anxiety than reading or listening or writing because the we're out of control. Certainly, listening we're out of control often as well. But what kinds of issues do you see with your students in speaking, and what kinds of things are important in your supporting students to improve their speaking?
Well, I think maybe I have some of the same issues as any teacher in any classroom, that students don't speak when I feel like they could speak. There's they will say things to each other during class that I'm pretty sure that they could have said in Japanese, but they or in English. They could have said it in English, but they don't. And then sometimes they will come up and talk to me and say things in their first language, in Japanese as well. And I'm sure, oh my gosh, I know they can say it in Japanese. Um, so one of the problems is this idea that students can say something and they're not trying, right? Um, this attitude as a teacher, I think, is really detrimental. It can really hurt your relationship with a student. I know it has hurt my relationships with students because the idea that they're not trying is going to block off communication. The student is talking to me. They're communicating something to me. This is what I should start from. And this is a good thing and not a lack of anything. There's no lack. They're communicating. And then helping them move into English so that they feel more comfortable. So if they say something to me in Japanese, I try and figure out what they're saying, and maybe I'll give them a few words in English so that they can try and say it again in English. But I think it's a step-by-step process, and you should always accept the fact that students are communicating with you as a positive thing. Um, and then in the classroom setting, uh, we do a lot. I kind of feel uncomfortable because I don't know if anyone else would want to do this or think it's a good idea. We do a lot of mini timed speaking exercises about simple topics from the very beginning of their time in the course. So every week, they just have to talk about sim at the beginning topics like my favorite movie or the place I like to spend time. They have to talk about these topics every week for 1 minute and they videotape themselves and they have to watch the videotapes. So it's really regimented and they have to do this. And maybe at a different school, if it wasn't such a kind of set system, the students just wouldn't do it. But they do it in my school. And I think this intense fluency practice and repetitive speaking practice gives them a lot of confidence. And seeing themselves talking in English is great. They see they can do it, and then quite suddenly and quite early, they start moving their hands and they use gestures because they see like
Yeah.
something's wrong, I think. And so they use gestures and their speaking becomes more naturally. So I know everyone doesn't have that option, but using video equipment or cell phones or tablets to record for students to record themselves and regular repeated practice with uh, topics that the students can talk
Look at
about.
Lisa's question.
Oh, oh, Lisa, no. No, we don't put the videos up in a public space where everyone can see them. So the students just watch their own videos. But I also put those videos on blogs as well sometimes if the student is kind enough and will let me do it. But the students do have a speech class, so actual speech so they have to give speeches. And in those classes, public speaking presentation classes, they have to stand up in front of the class. And those recordings, the students can watch of each other.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I do the same regimented fluency practice every week, and I call it tekito talking. And tekito is a Japanese word meaning off the top of your head. And every week I do two letters of the alphabet. So we start with A and B, the next week C and D, the following week E and F, right? So I'll do the letter A. I'll explain to them, for example, we're going to use the topic A is for apple. So I want you, it's tekito, it's off the top of your head, but there's a little bit of a trick to help you get going. And the trick is step one, describe the hell out of it. It's red, It's a circle. It's white
Mm.
inside. It has a thing because I don't know what a stem is. Um, it's juicy. It's sweet.
And
There are many kinds of apples. Just as much as you can describe it. Then go into my apple story. When I was a little boy, I went apple picking, blah blah blah. I fell out of the tree, blah blah. Any kind of story, and then the third step is anything else you can think of. And so I did the same thing. Week one is a target of a minute, and then hands up, how many people did it? Yay, wonderful, we got to a minute. Once I think they're ready, we'll go up to a minute and a half. And then once I think they're getting in the groove, I will reverse the stopwatch so it doesn't count down, but it counts up. And then once it starts at zero and starts counting up, then I just wait for the lull to happen. Like the wave, we can see when they kind of all peak, then I'll stop it and say, hey, look, you've been going 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And it normally gets like that they can do much better. What I do, for example, the letter A was Australia and Adults Day, which is a famous holiday here in Japan. And then B was baseball and babies or something. Now, so you and I are partners. We would do rock, scissors, paper. If you're the winner, you decide you want to go number one or number two. So you're going to end up doing Australia. I do Adults Day, and then we continue on. Then you do baseball, and I do babies. So we've covered 4 topics in a very short time. Then I say choose one of those topics. Maybe it's one that you talked about, maybe it's one you listened to, but choose one of those 4 topics. Now we're going to do a 1 minute recording. Now I'm going to start, based on you telling me, I'm going to start doing it with video because I want to hit myself in the head. Of course, video will be much better than just the audio that I've been doing so far. But I'm going to have them, I have them do it in 1 minute. Then they have to listen to it and count how many words they could crank out in 1 minute. And that's what I show them. They go from 40 words a minute at the beginning of the year, and everybody's goal is to get up to 100 words. Now, 100 words is not so difficult if you just don't have long pauses. If I speak at a very normal, regular speed, but I don't stop speaking, that will easily become 100 words in a minute, like that.
yeah, that's so funny. We do the same thing. The words per minute is the key indicator for the students, and they
Yep.
graph their words per minute. And but counting the words per minute, right? You make your students count the words per minute, and that's fantastic. And actually, I sit with the video and I I count the words per minute because I'm really interested in kind of the speed and the pacing. And this is a terrible reason. I really want to write a really interesting paper
Yep.
about what they're doing. So next, I'll have them
Yeah.
count their words per minute by themselves, but I'm still gonna
So are you
count the words per
collecting the
minute.
videos?
Yes, we have. Yeah. You know, on the internet, there is a software program. It's called Brush Up, and I just put the name into
Yep.
the text chat. It allows students, if they have a smartphone, Brush Up really easily allows students to upload all of their videos, and teachers can make comments on the videos. You can click a highlight box and type things in like wow, you used it's okay to use fillers, but you use the word okay 40 times here.
That
Maybe
must have,
use
that must have
well
been my
and
video you were watching.
and oh,
I videoed a couple of years ago, I videoed my class and I think I said, okay, 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 at least 40 times.
do you count that? Do you count all the okays? Can students
Yeah,
count
they
all their
have. Yeah,
fillers?
but
Is
I
that
haven't run into
okay?
anybody abusing the system yet. But I've also said you can do things like, oh my God, I have no idea what I should say, but Stephen said I shouldn't stop talking for a long time, so I'm going to keep talking until, oh yeah, okay, and then they go into something else.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I think in fillers, a list of things to grasp when they can't come up with something to say is really
Yeah,
important, and to give that to students
yeah.
early on in
So
their
I'm
speaking
feeling
practice.
like I can't believe how quickly this time has gone. We've got about 5 minutes left, and there was something that I really wanted to ask you about, and I don't know if I can do it without telling you my answer first. So I basically want to know your top three beliefs about teaching or your approach to teaching. So now I know that's hard.
Mm,
It's
sorry, I'm kind of
double tasking here. So
my
I'll give you
three.
mine, okay? I'll give you mine and then see what that does. Yeah. I believe
Okay.
that first I have to connect with the students. Okay, that's my number one, is connect with the students. Number two, I have to communicate that I expect my expectations, that I expect them to grow or develop
Uh-oh.
or improve because I believe in them. But so my first word is connect, my second word is expect, and then my third one is just kind of the rest we just make up and deal with day by day because there's constantly curveballs coming at us. So I just try to react in a positive way. And I guess I really believe in making incremental improvements, in my own teaching, in what they're doing. If we can just make it a little bit better each time, then it's going to be just great at the end of whatever time we have together. Connect, expect, and deal with it day by day.
Yeah. Well, Stephen told me that I could just talk about anything while I'm waiting.
Hi.
Hey, you. I'm talking about my three
I
beliefs
think
Hi.
about
I
teaching.
Okay.
think your name
You
is
want to hear this?
Luca.
Okay, my
Is it
three beliefs.
Luca?
Up is in my book.
Wow.
Yes.
I know
Yes.
your name's Luca. That's a wonderful name. How old are you, Luca? How old are you?
Thank you.
10
I'm
years
10
old.
years
Wow.
old.
So are you in grade 3 or grade 4?
Yes.
Grade 5.
Grade 5.
Wow. You're almost yeah,
She's
wow.
old.
11 now.
11.
Good. I love your name, Luca. Luca's a wonderful name.
Thank
My
you.
name is Steven.
Thank you.
Hey, Lou, do you mind?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
you should
Steven.
take your
Okay.
daddy's other earphone. I'd like to talk to you for a while.
Okay.
Are you gonna do it? Are you gonna take
Oh.
my other earphone? Or are you gonna give me my other earphone? I don't think it works that way, Kaden. You just
Uh-huh.
give me.
I like you, Luca.
I did it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you did it. You did it. You know, Steven, if I tell you the truth, your three things, except for the third one, is the
Yep.
only one different. I mean, I'm going to use different words, but the first one is
Okay.
believe in my students. I mean, believe my students know what they're doing and that anything they
Yeah.
do is a step in the right direction. They're in my class, they're talking to me, and just take that as face value that means that they know
Yeah.
what they have to do uh,
Yeah.
to become better at English. And what I think they need to do might be different
Yes.
than what they are going to do. And I should have some humility
Yeah.
about that
Of
because I
course.
don't know
Yeah,
what
it's
they need to do.
wonderful. I
I
love
do
that.
not.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, and I can tell you that one of the reasons I feel this way is I don't know how well my daughter speaks English. This is true. I sometimes I think she's perfectly fluent. Sometimes I think, oh my gosh, she might have problems with English in the future. If I can't tell how skilled my own daughter is at a language, how can I really understand
Sure.
how skilled
Sure.
a student is at a language? So
Yeah.
I should have some humility about it, and I
Yeah.
should believe they're taking the right steps. Um, the second thing I believe is that the students will enjoy learning how to learn if they meet success. So my goal as a teacher is to make sure that they can meet with success so
Yeah.
that they want to do the next
I
thing.
I often I
So
often say that
that doesn't
I
mean
don't
make.
mind pushing the students or forcing them to succeed. I'll never, I'll never force anyone to do anything if there's the possibility that they're gonna completely fall down and fail. Um, but that takes some kind of confidence on my part that knowing when to push and pull and it's comes out of believing in them. But I guess the biggest one is the trust, which everything comes back to. Everything you've said tonight makes it sound like you trust the students and you create an environment where trust is a huge part of the whole process.
I sorry, I'm gonna get a little like teary-eyed. One of my students came to me today and he said, I have to write an essay for university for my entrance. And he said, why do you why do you foster students' potential? Like, why do you always try to foster our potential? And he said it to me in English, actually. And he's a student who came in with very, very minimal English skills. And I honestly said to him, because I I don't foster your potential. I just am interested in
Mm-hmm.
seeing what you're going to do
Yep.
next. That's what I want to see, and I want to
Sure
be
it
a
is.
part of it because it's really interesting. And he said after the we had talked and he had interviewed me and he said, I never thought about being a teacher before. Today, today, I never thought about it. But when you talk about teaching, it sounds like it
Mm-hmm.
would be a great job. And And I really think it is a great job.
Yep.
I think it's the best job in the world because we get to spend time with
Mm-hmm.
people who